presentation. First of all, I would like to introduce myself and then each of my team members. My name is Nurain Sofia. I would like to present the outline of presentation as well as to conclude the presentation as a whole. Here is one and only our guys. His name is Muhammad Aidil. He will discuss about part 1, which is Plan Very Workforce Sales Strategy. Next, we have Nurul Hazika Izzati. She will explain about part 2, which is Constant Workforce Overtime Only Level Strategy. This is Shaza Auni Balkis. She will talk about very overtime and allowing stock out and use a constant workforce of 10. Lastly, we have Wainur Sabina, who will share about part 4, very overtime and subcontracting. Since Coal Engineering Company has asked us to develop an aggregate planning for January through June for its refrigerator production, I would like to talk first about what is actually aggregate planning. Aggregate planning is the process of developing, analyzing, and maintaining a preliminary, approximate schedule of the overall operation in an organization. The aggregate plan generally contains targeted sales forecasts, production levels, and inventory levels. Aggregate planning helps achieve balance between financial goals, operation goals, and overall strategies objectives of the organization. It serves as a platform to manage capacity and demand planning. In the slide, as we can see, there are two options, which are chase strategy and level strategy. Chase strategy tries to match output rates with forecast demand with a particular period. It can vary workforce level through hiring or layoff, or vary output using overtime, idle time, subcontracting, and using a part-time workers. Besides, this level strategy is a strategy where the production rate is constant from time to time. The number of workers remain constant during planning period.
Plan 1, Very Workforce Chase Strategy. Okay, for step 1, we will determine the total forecast demand. Okay, we will calculate all the demand from January to June, and the total of demand we will get 3,650. For step 2, to get unit per month, we will calculate standard output per worker per month multiplied by 20 days and divided by labor hour. Okay, for step 3, the number workers required. The forecasted demand will be divided by 40 to get the required worker. But for the first month forecasted demand will be minus 250 as the beginning inventory. If the current workers more than required worker, the surplus worker will put to lay off. If the current worker not enough for the required worker needed, they will be hiring. Okay, lastly, step 4, total cost. Okay, all forecasted demand that we have calculated it with beginning inventory will be multiplied with labor hour and regular time labor, that is RM12 ringgit. We will get total of wages. For the hiring workers, the hiring cost will calculate with hiring worker. Same for layoff worker will be calculated with layoff cost. And we will get all the total cost for all the plan.
Next, I will explain about Plan 2, which is constant workforce overtime only and use constant workforce of 10. first step is to determine total forecasted demand. Total forecasted demand after adding all the demand from January to June is 3,650 units. Second step is we need to determine standard output per month. Standard output per month for Plan 2 is 400 units per month. The unit produced for 6 months is 400 units. Multiple 6 months, we get 2,400 units. Third step is the breakdown of resources in a monthly basis. Number of workers every month is 10 workers and unit produced every month is 400 units. In January, we have beginning inventory 250 units and forecasted demand for January is 400 units, February 500 units, March 550 units, April 700 units, May 800 units, and lastly June 700 units. After adding beginning inventory and unit produced, we will minus with forecasted demand to know we are facing excess or shortage demand in a month. If excess, the number of units will carry forward for next month as beginning inventory. If shortage, the number of units will put under overtime to reach the forecasted demand. Total forecasted demand is 3,650 units. Total unit produced is 2,400 units. Total inventory is 400 units. And lastly, total overtime is 1,000 units. Last step is step 4, which is total cost, for which we get 115,200 ringgit. Inventory holding cost is 4,000 ringgit. Overtime cost is 72,000 ringgit, and total cost for Plan 2 is 191,200 ringgit.
Now I will present about Plan 3. As shown in the slide, firstly we have to determine total forecast demand, which is 3,650. For step 2, we will calculate the standard output per month by using a constant workforce of 10. The normal working hours is 8 hours a day. The standard output per month is 400 units and total units produced for the planning period is 2,400 units. Next, for step 3, we compute monthly resources breakdown. In April, there is a shortage of 300, so we have to do overtime. The maximum overtime is 200. So the remaining of 100 will go to stock out. For May, the shortage is 400 and the remaining of 200 will go to stock out. Same goes to June. The shortage is 300 as the maximum overtime is 200. So the remaining of 100 will go to stock out. Last step is calculating the total cost. We must calculate the cost incurred under this strategy, which include wages, inventory holding costs, overtime costs, and stock out costs. Total costs for wages are 115,200. The total of inventory holding costs are 3,200. Overtime costs are 43,200 and stock out cost is 24,000. We calculate the stock out cost based on total stock out at step 3 and times it with stock out cost for RM60, and the total that we get is 24,000. So the total cost is 185,600.
I'm going to explain Plan 4, that is vary overtime and subcontracting. First step, to determine total forecasted demand. The total forecasted demand after total all units for each month is 3,650 units. Step 2, to determine the standard output for the planning period. Standard output per month for this case is 8 hours divided by 4 hours and multiply 20 days, multiply 8 workers, and we got 320 units. Then the total standard output for the planning period is 320 units, multiply 6 months, and we got 1920 units as the total. Next, step 3, the breakdown resources on a monthly basis. It has been said that the beginning inventory is 250 units, and for each month regular production is 320 units. The forecasted demand for January is 400 units, February 500 units, March 550 units, April 700 units, May 800 units, and lastly June is 700 units. The overtime limit is 200 units. With this, we can compute it. As the result, we got the total of inventory is 170 units, overtime is 810 units, and subcontract is 670 units. Finally, the last step, total cost. Total cost for the wages is 23,040 ringgit. Total for inventory holding cost is 1,360 ringgit. Total for overtime cost is 106,560 ringgit. The total subcontract cost is 53,600 ringgit. And after total up all that, we get 184,560 ringgit.
To conclude, the best plan for Cool Engineering Company is Plan 3. It is because Plan 3 has the lowest cost from others. Because of the lowest cost, company can achieve financial goals by reducing available costs. Besides, company also can maximum utilization of the available production facility and reduce investment in inventory stocking.